This is the video for the on-level Module 2 CBA review. So you are welcome to have done this and follow along or check your answers or answer for each problem. So, number 1, Sarah had a box of cookies that was 1/2 full. 1 serving of cookies is 1/8 of the box. How many servings of cookies does she have? So if 1 serving is 1/8 of the box and she has 1/2 of the box, we want to know how many servings. This is actually going to be a division problem. So basically I'm going to see how many halves I have, or 8s I have in that half. So 1/2 divided by 1/8. For my rule, I'm going to keep it, change it, and then flip it. So now I have 1/2 times 8 over 1, which would get me 8 halves. And when I divide that to simplify my answer, I would get 4. So in the box, she has 4 servings. Number 2, Coach Anthony jogged around the track between 6 to 9 times each morning. Each lap is a 1/4 of a mile. If he jogs 5 days that week, about how many miles did he run? So I'm going to just kind of use the low end of this. So I'm going to do the 6. So if he jogs 6 times each morning and it's a 1/4 of a mile, I'm going to do 6 over 1 times 1/4. That's going to give me 6/4, which is equal to 1.5. So basically every day he's jogging 1.5 miles at minimum. And if he does that 5 days a week, 1.5, if I make that improper, 2 times 1 is 2, plus 1 is 3. 3 halves times 5 over 1 for 5 days a week. It's going to give me 15 seconds. Okay, which when I simplify that would be 7 1/2 miles. So that's the minimum amount he's going to run. And then you could do the same thing to find the maximum by doing that all by 9 instead of by 6. But if it's a multiple choice question, it's going to be anything above that 7.5. Number 3, the grid represents one whole. What fraction of the grid is shaded? So I have 1, 2, 3, that's 4/10, and then an extra 5, so that's 45 out of 100, which if I divide both by 5 would give me 9/20. That's my answer. Number 4, Party City blew up 24 balloons for a football party. When Troy Aikman went to pick up the balloons, 8 of the balloons popped leaving the store. What fraction of the balloons did not pop? So I'm always going to subtract at the beginning because I forget. So I'm going to do 24 minus 8, and that's going to get me 16. And so 16 of the balloons did not pop. So 16 out of the 24 didn't pop. I can simplify that by dividing them both by 8. 16 divided by 8 is 2. 24 divided by 8 is 3. So 2/3 of the balloons, which is answer choice C, did not pop. Number 5, determine which numbers are equivalent to 12/5. So I'm going to go ahead and take 12/5 and divide 5 into 12 to start, just to see where I end up. So I get 2 2/5. 2 2/5 would be equal to 2 4/10. So the decimal would be 2 4/10. So 1, 2 2/5 because 12 divided by 5 equals 2 with a remainder of 2. Yes, that's correct. That's what I just did. 2 2/10 because 2 divided by 5 equals 2 with a remainder of 2. Well, the reasoning is true, but you don't get this with your remainder of 2. As we saw, my decimal is 2 4/10, not 2 2/10. So that's not correct. 2 4/10 because 12 divided by 5 is 2 with a remainder of 2/5, which equals 4/10. That is correct. And number 4, 12/10 because 12 times 1 is 12 and 5 times 2 is 10. This isn't true because I multiplied, if you see here where they multiplied by 1 and multiplied by 2, when you multiply by the 2 different things, that means that fraction is not equivalent. You have to multiply by the same thing. So the correct answer is going to be 1 and 3 only, which is D. Number 6, Mr. Jones needed a window screen to fit his new window. The old screen was between 2/3 and 13/15 inches thick, which screen will work in his window. So I have 2/3 and I have 13/15. I'm going to make them common denominators, so 3 times 5 is 15, 2 times 5 is 10. So I need something between 10/15 and 13/15. That knocks out 14/15. For B, I can times them both by 3, and that would give me 12/15, and that seems to work. Here, again, by 3, that's going to just give me 3/15, so that number's out. And then this one I'd have to divide by 2 to get to 15, which would be 7 divided by 2 would be 3.5. So 3 5/10, 15, so that doesn't work. So the only thing that works is B. Number 7, Tammy said that multiplying 5 6 and 3 halves is equal to 5 9ths. Mitch said it equals 1 1/4. Robin said it equals 12/15. Show your work to prove who's correct. So 5 6 times 3 halves, that's going to be equal to 15/12, which simplifies to 5/4. And when I make that a mixed number, I would get 1 1/4. So Mitch would be correct. And this one on 2 pages for number 8, so I'll go and work it on the next page. The school cross-country team is planning to run the Boston Marathon. In order to train for the 26-mile run, they are setting a goal to run a minimum of 100 miles each week. Which of the following is true based on the model below? The team has run 75 miles this week. I think it's safe to say we can assume that because it's halfway between 50 and 100, and that would be 75 if I split it in fourths. The team has run half of their goal. No, they've run 3/4 of their goal, so that's not correct. The team has 1/4 left to reach their goal. I would say that is true. And the team will reach their goal today. You really don't know that because you don't know how many, if they're even running today. So the only ones that can be definitely true are 1 and 3, which is D. Number 9, Ashley has 1 25/100 feet of ribbon. She cut into 4 equal lengths. How long is each piece of ribbon? I'm going to go ahead and make this a fraction. So I'm going to make this 1 1/4, and I need to divide 1 1/4 divided by 4. So 1 1/4 is going to be 5/4, and I'm going to divide that by 4/1, and then I have to keep it, change it, and flip it. 5 times 1 is 5, 4 times 4 is 16, so each piece of ribbon will be cut into 5 16ths of a foot. Number 10, which expression will give you the same answer as 4/5 divided by 1/3? So to do this, I'd have 4/5 divided by 1/3, keep it, change it, flip it, multiply by the reciprocal. When I have 4/5 times 3/1, this equals a whole number, so that would be the same thing as saying 4/5 times 3, which is B. Number 11, a cheetah can run 5 4/5 miles per minute. Write a decimal to represent the distance the cheetah can run in a minute. So 5 4/5 miles equals, I want to turn to a decimal, you can divide, but because this is a fifth, I can turn a fifth very easily into a tenth by saying 5 times 2, and if I do that up here, 4 times 2 is 8, so 5 8/10, which is equal to 5 8/10. Number 12, Nicole ran 1 4/5 miles along White Rock Lake. There was a rest stop every 3/10 of a mile. How many rest stops were along her route? So this is a division problem, and I'm going to do 3/10 divided by, and I just found that 4/5 was 8/10, so that's easy, kind of easy for me, 1 8/10. Because there's a decimal in here, I want to multiply this by 10, because it's in the tenths place. Multiply this by 10. When I do that, I get 3 divided by 18. 3 goes into 18 6 times, so my answer is that there are 6 rest stops. Number 13, 4 dogs, Jake, Charlie, Sam, and Carl, were each given the dog bone. After 15 minutes, Jake had 7/10 of his dog bone left. Charlie had 4/7, Sam had 50/100, and Carl had 1/4 of his dog bone left. Which of the following shows the order of dog bones from left from least to greatest? So I'm going to just write them all down. Jake had 7/10, Charlie had 4/7, Sam had 5 50/100, and Carl had 1/4. Okay, and 1/4 is a decimal I know because I'm going to turn all these into decimals. So I'm going to go ahead and write that's 25/100. So all I need to really worry about is 4/7, okay, because 7 doesn't go into 10 or 100, I have to divide. 4 divided by 7. 7 goes into, I'm going to put my decimal there pretending it's not there. 7 goes into 40 3 times. Nope. 7 goes into 40. Sorry, I got ahead of myself. 7 goes into 45 times, and that's 35 with a remainder of 5. I'm going to bring that down. I just need one more decimal place to be able to compare. And 7 goes into 57 times for 49 with a remainder of 1. I don't really need to keep going at this point because I know that it's 57/100, and now I can put this in order. So the least amount of bone left is going to be Carl, so that knocks out B and D. So that's my least amount. And then my second least amount is going to be Sam, and then Charlie, and then Jake. And that answer is A. Number 14, Mrs. Ackroyd and her 2 friends. Okay, that is 3 people right there. Mrs. Ackroyd, 2 friends. So Mrs. Ackroyd 1 and her 2 friends, so it's a total of 3 people. Went to lunch. Their bill was $27.03. If they split the bill evenly, how much would they pay? This is division. They split it evenly. 3 goes into 27 9 times. I'm going to move that decimal straight up. Bring down my 0. Because 3 does not go into 0 and I'm skipping that place value, I need to put a 0 up here too. Bring down your 3. 3 goes into 3 1 time with a remainder of 0, so each person paid $9.01. Number 15, your mom gave you $15 for your school supplies. You need one of each of the supplies below. What fraction of the money did you spend? If I add all of this up, it's going to be a total of $10. So I spent 10 out of 15. And if I simplify that by 5/5 each one, 10 divided by 5 is 2. 15 divided by 5 is 3, so I spent 2/3. Number 16. Levon has 4/5 cup of blueberries. A batch of blueberry muffins requires 1/3 a cup of blueberries. How many batches of blueberry muffins can Levon make? So this is a division problem because I'm seeing how many batches, how many groups, how many batches, that's division. So 4/5 divided by 1/3. Keep it, change it, flip it. 4 times 3 is 12. 5 times 1 is 5. And then when I simplify this, I'm going to get 2 and 2/5 batches. So she can make 2 and 2/5 batches, or I would also accept on a test or a quiz 2 full batches, which is fine. Number 17, put the following fractions and decimals on the number line. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and mark my 1/2 here, 1.5, 1 5/10. Okay, 1 1/4 is halfway between 1 and 5/10 because that's our 1 2500. So I'm going to put that there. Then I have 1 4/5, and I know that this is equal to 1 8/10, but if I split into fifths, it would fall right about here. And then 1 30/100 is actually going to fall pretty close to 1 1/4, because 1 1/4 would be 1 2500. So those are where the places those go. All right, this is a window pane on number 18. Which of the following expressions shows the correct product of 3 1/4 times 2 3/6 according to the area model? So you guys did this in elementary school. In this box, it's going to be whatever 2 times 3 is, which is 6. This box is going to be 3/6 times 3, which is 1 1/2. This box is going to be 2 times 1/4, which is 1/2. And then this box is going to be 3/6 times 1/4, which is 1/8. So then I'm going to take those answers, and if I add them together, I would get my answer. Actually, the only answer choice that only has addition is A. So you could cross those out really without even having to do a whole lot because you're not going to multiply. But that is how we solve that model. Number 19. In Mrs. Glowicki's 6th grade math class, students just took their CBA. Michael got 2/3 of his test correct, Joey got 4/5 of his test correct, Cheryl got 18/20 correct, and Lisa got 21/20 correct because she got the bonus question right. Mrs. Glowicki said the students could earn a prize if they got at least 3/4 of their test correct. Who gets a prize? So I'm going to start by saying 3/4 is equal to 7/500. So that's basically they have 75 on their test if we were doing percents. And I'm going to turn the rest of them. 2/3 is one that you should just know, commit to memory. It's 66/100, and it actually repeats, but 66/100 is where I'm going to cut it off. 4/5 we've done a couple times on this review, and that's 8/10. 18/20 simplifies to 9/10, so that would be 9/10. And then 21/20 is actually greater than 1, which means she got higher than 100. She actually got 105, which is, or 1.05. So the people that got above 75% were Joey, Cheryl, and Lisa, which is 2, 3, and 4. Number 20, Mrs. Goss asked Jenna and Jason to calculate the product of 3 2/3 times 5 1/4. Jenna calculated 231/12 as the product, and Jason calculated 77/4 as the product. Who calculated the correct answer? 3 times 3 is 9, plus 2 is 11, so we have 11/3 times 5 times 4 is 20, plus 1 is 21, 21/4. And when I multiply that, I do get 231/12. So Jenna is correct. To go from a denominator of 12 to 4, I would have to divide by 3. So if this works out, that I get 77 here, then this would also be correct. And then 231 divided by 3 is actually 77. So both Jenna and Jason are correct, which is D. Here's just some vocabulary that you should know from this unit. So if you have any questions on any of those, please let us know. And happy studying.